In the last few vlogs, I talked about a way of dealing with your doubts. But there is one big doubt that you might have, and that's, what if I fail? Now that's not going to be a problem if your goal is to tidy the garage or clean up your backyard. It will be a problem if you're trying to do a triple backflip on a motorbike. So dealing with failure is the focus of the next couple of vlogs. One of the first things I did after thinking I just might take part in the transatlantic rowing race was to go and see a sports coach, John Ackland. I walked into his office and he had this huge white sheet of paper in front of him with lots of little squares on it. It was my training plan, and he was busy filling in all the boxes with how many hours of what I should be doing each day to get fit for the race. And he looked up from his desk, he said, "Oh Kevin, I just need to know for your training plan, are you going to win the race, or are you just going to take part?" Well, given that I'd only just decided that I might be in the race, this question seemed a little bit premature. So I said, "Look, I'm going to try really hard, I'll see what happens," which seemed a perfectly reasonable answer. But then he turned on me and he said, no, that's completely wrong. He said, the only way you're going to have a chance of winning this race is if you decide to win. Then everything about the way you prepare for this race will change. He went on. He said, I don't care what it is, but I need to know now. Are you going to win, or are you just going to take part? Well, hang on a second. Why on earth should I consider taking on a goal that I'll probably fail at, that has a really significant chance of failure? I think there are at least two good reasons. The first is that there's no such thing as an easy and worthwhile challenge. To be worthwhile and satisfying, a challenge has to feel outside of your comfort zone. To be rewarding, at some point, the challenge has to be beyond our reach. Here's an example. Recently, I was thinking about taking part in the Tarawera Ultra Marathon, a 103k running race through the forest between Rotorua and Kawerau. It would be an immense challenge for me. I'd run a marathon a few years earlier, but this would be nearly 2.5 times as long. And it was only 2 months out, so I had very little time to train. The most likely outcome is that I would nose into the mud at about the 45k mark. But wouldn't it be an amazing achievement to get to the end, to actually run 100k's? So do I enter or not? I didn't know what I should do. But while I was going backwards and forwards on this, I found myself looking at the frequently asked questions page on the race website. And it turns out that I wasn't the only person who had this problem. In fact, the very first question was, I don't know if I can do this. In other words, why should I take on a challenge that I might fail at? Can you guess what their answer was? It wasn't, you can do it. That wouldn't have been true for everyone. It wasn't, you won't know unless you try. I mean, that's true, but it doesn't really answer the question. Their answer was, that's the point. I like that very much. The reason that we take on these difficult challenges is to see what we are capable of, to have that exhilaration that comes from breaking our limits. If you knew that you could run 100k's, then what would be the point? It'd be like, making a cup of tea. It'd be nice, but not exactly thrilling. Let's flip it around. What if you were physically prevented from taking on challenges that were beyond you? What if you're only allowed to do things that you already knew how to do or had already done before? What if you could only take on challenges that you were 100% guaranteed of getting the right outcome, of being successful? Does that sound like a life? Or does it sound like prison? There is one more reason for why you want to take on a tough challenge, and it's to do with the psychology of performance. This coach I mentioned, John Ackland, he was very dogmatic about winning. He would spend a lot of time impressing upon me the importance of winning. He would say things like, you've got to win. It's all about winning. Participation's for pussies. There's no second place. There's only first loser. Winning is everything. Losing is nothing. Well, hang on. That didn't seem quite right to me. I mean, sure, winning is important, but does winning get you everything and losing get you nothing? It can't be as black and white as that. So we went back and forth about this until finally he said something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, of course winning isn't everything. The best that you can do is the best that you can do, but you can't get the best out of yourself unless you commit to a difficult goal. That's it. To get the best out of yourself, you need to commit to a tough challenge, to tell yourself that achieving is, well, if not everything, then it's very important. But to stay sane, part of you has to remember that at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is the best that you can do. Make sense? So 2 reasons that you might want to take on a tough challenge that you might fail at is because it's exciting to push your limits and to find out what you're capable of. and to get the best out of yourself. I hope that this has left you slightly more enthused about your own tough challenge. But I am conscious that I haven't talked at all about handling the consequences of failure. And dealing with that is the subject of the next book.